We love getting your questions, so we want you to keep them coming via Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage. Who knows, we might just answer your question here in the studio audience next. Welcome back. Our special guest, Faith Evans, is here along with Monay, who is still grieving the loss of her boyfriend who was killed 5 years ago. So Monay, before the break, we kind of started to get into some of it, but Miles asked a really good question, and that's how is this loss affecting your life today?
I think because I have a lot of anger with it, you know. Like I said, it's coming up on 5 years and his murder still hasn't been solved. So I feel like I'm angry from it, you know. I've recently seen how angry I can be, and I don't know where else it could come from besides the fact that I hold all that in.
What was it? You said I recently saw how angry. What happened?
I punched something in my car and it's like now broken, and it does have a lot of anger and a lot of things, you know. Growing up, I don't feel like my father, he raised me really tough, very, very tough. So I think when I am in a relationship or when I am dating a man, it's hard for me to let that tough wall down and allow a man to be a man.
Yeah, I think that's pretty insightful. And I think not only did you get that wall from your father, but after the loss of your boyfriend, I think it even went up higher.
I think so too.
And my guess is that the anger is continuing to sabotage any relationship you try to move into.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
When I get angry or I get upset or I get an attitude, it's like that's it. You know, it's really hard for me to come back from that.
So everything is a deal breaker.
It's like if I get upset about something, I'm gonna be upset about it until I feel like I should be over it.
Faith, I heard you laugh. Can you?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I'm not that way at all, but you know, that's definitely a catch-22 because being that way, you've already lost someone that you loved and that you would have wanted to be in that place in your life. But if you continue on this way, then you're gonna be probably by yourself anyway in the long run. Or with someone who you probably shouldn't be with if they're gonna go for all of that, you know?
And then what about the friendships too? Do you have a lot of female friends? Are you close?
No, I have a lot of guy friends. You know, growing up, I was always around my dad and my uncles and stuff like that. So, and you know, my dad, like I said, my dad is a great guy, but he raised me very tough. So that's, you know, what I'm used to, and I just find comfort in having male friends because I don't think many females like me, I guess.
They don't like you?
I don't feel like they do.
Why don't they like you?
I think that just me being confident in me, you know, taking pride in who I am, sometimes it can be, some women may look at that as intimidation.
You know, I got to ask more about that because your words aren't really matching your body.
Right.
When I hear you say you're confident, it's coming out with a little shake. And so I see somebody that struggles with confidence.
Yeah.
And that's pretty common.
I think the reason why I'm shaky and stuff is because it is something that definitely bothers me, the fact that I don't have many female friends, or the fact that...
And I'm glad it bothers you. I don't want to cut you off, but it's important. We don't have a lot of time with you, and we've talked about your dad, and we've talked about the loss, and those are two big factors. But until we can figure out what your part in this is, then we probably can't move you forward because we can't change either one of those things.
Right.
And so what is your part?
The wall that I have built up is probably blocking me from allowing people into my life.
And what is that protecting you from? What's behind the wall that you feel that needs to be there?
You know, I fear that, you know, I don't want to lose someone else, you know, understanding how to get past that. I don't want to lose anyone else, so I don't want people to get too close to me, and I get fearful that something's gonna happen, or the fear that people take my kindness for weakness, or...
You got to let us see what's really happening, what's really going on, what your part in this is. And you may not know, but now is the time to ask the question. You got 3 people here that are willing to listen to you, look at you, and hear you. But you got to let us in.
I think I am letting you in. I may not really know how to word it, but I think that I am being open as I can be. I just feel like I really don't know how to word it. I feel like I'm trying to be as open as possible.
But what I want you to take away from this is that I want you to remember that if your fear is being alone and your fear is being hurt, and your fear is letting someone else in, and so you don't want to have any parts of that, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy that you're creating right now. Because the reality is that you are alone. You are already in the very thing that you fear.
Right.
And so the only thing that you have now is the opportunity for it to be different.
Right.
You need something already. You need friends. You need love in your life. You don't have it.
Right.
So you, in essence, you have nothing to lose. You're already hurting.
Let me just say something. When you first came up here, and you know, I never met you. I didn't meet you backstage. But the first thing that I said to you was what?
You're pretty.
I said, you're so pretty. I mean, so for you to automatically assume that every female that sees you feels a negative way about you, number one, you know that's wrong. I mean, maybe you didn't know, but I think that was an example because nobody told me I had to say that.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was just my genuine feeling, and I shared it with you. And you know, I don't think you should walk around with that stigma in your mind because there's plenty of good-natured, good-spirited people out there in the world. I mean, women as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And you know, one of those people might be the one that actually really, you know, touch your life. You know what I'm saying?
And I see now that my idea of being open is not necessarily open, and that's probably something that I need to work on because I feel like I'm telling you what I'm saying in my head, but it may not be coming out that way because I am a very confident woman. Very confident.
That's it. That's the most open thing you've said all day.
And that's going to be the key. I think the doorway you've got to walk through is vulnerability.
Right.
Is you need to let your guard down because at some point you've got to move from grieving to living.
Yes.
And the last stage of grief is acceptance.
Yes.
And I think you've heard some things today from somebody that can really relate to you. And the thing you want, the most important thing you can take away is that you are enough and you deserve to move beyond the things that you've experienced in your life. And the only way to do that is to show up in a vulnerable and real and authentic way.
Right.
That will be the door to walk through.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
here and
you.
sharing your story. Thank you. There's more with the Daily Helpline right after this. Coming up.
Now, what if he says no?
And it's gonna hurt. I'm in love with him, and it's like, I'm afraid of losing him.
We love getting your questions, so we want you to keep them coming via Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage. Who knows, we might just answer your question here in the studio audience next.